Welcome to the Tina Parker Show, where we burn the bullshit, speak the truth, and build brands that break chains. I'm Tina Parker, spiritual badass, truth teller, and the woman who turns pain into purpose. If you're ready to lead with fire, heal out loud, and drop the damn mic, you're home.
What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Tina Parker Show. If you see this message, this title in this show, and you're like, "Oh, you listen, before I get going, my brand is about telling the truth. My brand is about authenticity. My brand is my truth, okay? So to anyone that wants to comment, go ahead and make your comments. I don't care. I have real experience that, it's just me sharing my truth and helping anyone that feels like they're questioning things, okay? So if you're not questioning things, it's not your truth, just pass, okay? Or make your comments. That's fun too. But this could trigger some people, and it's not meant to trigger anyone. It's about me sharing my truth, my experience, and my belief, what I see. And so if this doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. If it does, great. Stay tuned. And if you know someone that needs to hear this message, share this out. I will also say I'm a little, I know I just finished my workout. Okay. So yeah, this is how I'm rolling today. I'm kind of switching up maybe my time just because this is a good time for me. And I I'm changing my morning routine a little bit. So, because I will go and do um I do 6 miles a day, just so you know. And so I'll be doing another workout later. So I thought I don't want to go get ready. Okay, for you, any of you ladies that understand, when you know you're going to go work out again, it's like, let me just, not go through all the effort of getting all ready, then going back later. I don't know. I'm playing with things, okay? That's just where I'm at. All right, let's dive in. This is tithing versus trust. Why I left the LDS Church's version of giving. I learned things. In the Bible it says, seek and you will find. That's what I've done. And there's so many things that I've noticed that when I thought and I felt in my heart didn't make sense or didn't align with my instincts, my knowing. When it didn't align, I questioned things. And so, I asked a lot of questions. I was a convert. So I asked a lot of questions, and people were probably like, why is she asking so many questions? Well, because this doesn't make sense to me. So then, sometimes you just have to go on to your own, journey of learning when things don't make sense. What is the truth? Okay, that's what I want to get to. What is the truth? So, and when you hear me say the word Yahweh, if you're LDS, I know this. Every time I went to church, we never said Yahweh. Okay, and for Jesus, we never said Yahshua. I didn't even know those terms. But the truth is that Yahweh, that God is a title. We didn't know that, right? And Yahweh is his real name. Like, he has a real name. So why wouldn't we use it? So this is the truth about what Yahweh really meant with tithing, okay? Because I just feel like it was misrepresented, and maybe in whose benefit? You know what I mean? This is how my brain works. Okay, so if this doesn't make sense for you, you can keep scrolling, okay? Or put your hate. That helps the algorithms. All right, so what if tithing was never about money? I think that folks have this misunderstanding with that, because they said it's about giving your 10%, right? And that from doing that, sacrificing, that you will receive blessings. And I do believe in giving. I do believe in um, serving, and I did serve. I was in the primary presidency. I spoke at conference. I, on the at the podium. I did. I served. Okay? I shared how the church changed my life, because it really was a beautiful thing when I became active. And with my husband, after we got married, it's my second marriage, and after I got married, my husband said, we are going to start going to church. See, he grew up in the church, and he was super, you know, he grew up in a family that was very, it was a ritual. Like, you don't screw up or you're going to be in trouble, a lot of trouble. So they just followed all the rules that were set and placed in the LDS Church, okay? Their rules, not what's in their heart, not what they've already been instilled in them. You know what I mean? They didn't listen to their own belief system. They were listening to what was taught to them. So that's just a lot of LDS folks. That's how they were brought up. You don't listen to your inner voice. Well, maybe you don't realize that you have an inner voice because you're just trained and told from the beginning, this is how it is. I didn't grow up in a family like that. Like, we used our own uh, belief system. Like, we thought about things and then took action or didn't take action, or we used our own intuition and our own knowing to make decisions in life. It wasn't instilled from a business, a church, religion, you know what I mean? Nothing like that. So all of these things, I had so many questions, not even just about tithing. Like, my husband, I remember we went to Hawaii one time, and my husband said, we can't, I go, can we go to Starbucks? And he looked at me like, no, we can't go to Starbucks because we can't drink Starbucks. And I was like, I don't understand why it's a problem to have a cup of coffee. Like, it's caffeine. I said, you drink Red Bull, you drink Rock Stars, you're drinking, the energy drinks. We had friends in church that drank a lot of Mountain Dew, you know. I just didn't understand why it was okay to do one and not the other. And he didn't have the answer for a lot of times. He never was asked these questions. He didn't know, why do we have these rules? Like, maybe I was bringing up things that made him scratch his head going, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. It's just all I've been told. And so I remember he called his brother, one of his brothers, and he said, why can't we have coffee? Like, what's the deal? And he said, because it says that we're not supposed to have hot drinks. Now, that I believe is in the Book of Mormon, but I don't think it says that in the Bible. So I don't know where that came from. And I don't know why a hot drink would be bad for the body versus a Rock Star or a Monster or a Red Bull, or just because it's cold. That didn't make sense to me. I could not wrap my head around that rule. Not playing on Sunday. Like, what if you work 6 days a week and you have one day to create a memory with your children, but you teach that you can't go, you stay at home. Like, you're not supposed to go out and do activities, or go out to dinner or things like that, because then you are going against the rules, you know? That didn't make sense to me, because our situation's different. Like, I believe in spending time with the family. Who cares if it's going out to dinner? Who cares if it's going on vacation? Who cares? Like, we're spending time with family. So there's a lot of these little rules, and I can't remember all of them, but those stand out to me. Another thing was, I got into health, and I was really active. I wasn't always that way, but I got that way later. And so one thing that I came to my head is, okay, our body's a temple, and if it's a temple, we should limit the amount of sugar and these different food types that we're eating because it does harm our body. So I didn't understand why, let's say someone in church is overweight, right? And they can have a temple recommend, but you do one thing different and you can't have a temple recommend. And I was like, why are they more worthy when they're not taking care of their temple? Just little weird things, like just did not, I could not wrap my head around it. The show, I couldn't wear a dress that, had cut. I think they've changed that rule now. There was just so many things when we went, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of background and things that would come to my mind. But this tithing thing, um, and not just tithing, but a lot of things from the leadership. But I just wanted to touch on my experience, and if anyone can, relate, put it in the comments or share it with someone that has been questioning things. So for years, I believed that in order for you to be worthy or get your temple recommend or anything like that, we had to be full tithe payers, right? That was proof that we were worthy to, um, you know, go through the temple or maybe serve in sacrament, whatever, right? Um, and that didn't align with me because I'll tell you why. I grew up on welfare. Okay. My parents did. My mom did. Um, and then I was a teen mom and I was like, what if I was going to church then? And everything I'm doing is helping my daughter, helping us get by. If I paid anything, that could take away from groceries to feed my child or the rent payment or different things, but that would mean I'm not worthy. That just didn't make sense to me. And so even though I was serving and I was a good person and a good neighbor and all the things, and a believer in a higher power, Yahweh, I was all of that. I had trust in him. I believed, I had faith. But if I don't if I don't pay this money to the church, what are you going to do with it? Like, I need to feed my daughter. It just didn't sit right. I didn't think that our God, Yahweh, would be that critical. It wasn't a financial thing for him. It was more our faith and trust in him and following him and his guidance. And it doesn't even say that in scriptures. So that didn't sit right with me. And so when my husband said to me, hey, well, they said it in church, they said, everyone, we're doing end of year tithing settlement. Now it's been renamed to declaration. Declaration. I was like, what? What are they doing? I'm a convert, mind you. And so then later my husband said, we got to schedule our tithing settlement. It was still tithing settlement when we were going. And I said, why do we need to do that? I don't get it. This is as this, I can't wrap my head around this. Why do we have to do that? Why is it any of their business? I really asked that. Why is it their business? Like, it's almost like they want to put you on a spot to make you feel guilt or make you feel unworthy. I know that they give you a printout to show proof so you can write it off. And I know all that. I get that. And I respect that part. Because when you are giving financially, you should be able to write it off, to charity or for nonprofit organizations. I get that part. But to hold people's feet to the fire and say, I know there's some exceptions that can be made in some situations, but to say that the tithing settlement and you have to be a full tithe payer to go through the temple, That did not make sense to me. It did not align with me. It didn't seem like our God would expect that, especially if you're going through hard times. I couldn't. And even if you're not, like, we were serving in the church, we both had callings. So I just didn't understand it. So what I discovered changed everything. Like, I just kept asking questions as we're going. As a convert, I really truly just wanted to know, help me understand this so it makes sense to me. That's kind of the way I was rolling. You know what I mean? Like, I loved our friends, and we had the most incredible relationships and friends in church. I love how the church promotes family unit. There's some incredible people, incredible humans in the church. Like, I have really great friends in the church. But these are just things I questioned. Um, it just didn't make sense to me. And so as I went along and I'm learning more about as these situations would arise, I would ask, help me understand this so it makes sense to me. Because a lot of these things just did not make sense to me. And then after we left the church, I even learned more. And anyway, so here's the truth about, if you go to scripture, okay, in the Bible, it said Yahweh never asked us to pay to prove our faith. He invited us financially, with money. He invites us to partner with him in trust. That's what he wants from us. So then it made me question, like, what are they doing with the money? Why are they pushing it so heavily? This feels like a business to me. Like, all of these things came to my mind. Now, if you grew up in the church, then you may not have these kind of questions because it's what you know, it's your belief. Okay? It's what's always worked for you. I'm saying, as a convert, I had questions because they didn't make sense. And I dug in because in order for me to really buy in, I have to learn about it. I have to gain some knowledge and intel so that I can go, okay, I believe what you're saying. I agree. Like, this is the truth, you know? And when I kept finding errors and things that didn't align, it just opened my eyes to so many things. Okay, so in this episode, we're just talking about religion and how religion can turn worship into reporting, and how you can reconnect with Yahweh's God. We called him God or Lord. Um, his real name is Yahweh, his true heart, one that measures from generosity by love and not ledgers. Okay, so if you've ever felt pressured, unworthy, or afraid of not giving enough, you'll leave this conversation lighter, freer, and more aligned with truth. I'm about sharing truth, okay? And what I learn and my experiences. That's all. All right. So, that's the biggest thing, is me just wanting to share my truth and hope that, here's the other thing, is that faith was never meant to control us. You know, it's really truly meant to empower us. Have you ever thought about that? Like, if you're giving financially to God, I mean, think about it. And then, I don't know. I don't even know what to say to, yeah, the origin of tithing in scripture, it was about having a relationship and trusting in God. That's what it's about. Tithing is serving, giving, um, but it doesn't have to, he never meant for it to be financially. I don't know when or why they interpreted it that way. The 10%, you may read a tenth of your income in the Bible, but that meant maybe tenth of your service, tenth of your time. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't say financially. I know people that are filing bankruptcy because they felt so much pressure to be 100% tithing, tithe. they needed to tithe 100%, 10% of their income. And it doesn't align with me, and then when you learn more things about how they spent the money, why can't you're building their business. See, they've expanded their land and buildings and their network and land. I mean, all of these things, City Creek, there's so much, you guys. Okay, so they expanded and built the empire. Well, why can't we build? Imagine what we could do if we're not funding that, you know? It's just things I think about. Um, yeah, the controlling, the rules, true giving, it looks like um, believing, having faith, being a good person, having integrity, um, service, maybe charity. That was one thing that I asked was how come, what if there was a lady that was a single mom and she needed help? What if I gave money to her? Well, no, then you still have to give your 10% of your growth. It wouldn't work that way. I was like, this don't make sense. I feel better giving to someone personally I know that needs help rather than building someone's, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe you won't know what I'm saying if you grew up in the church. It's okay. We can agree to disagree. Okay. This is my findings, my truth. And I just want to be real. I want to be authentic. I want to share my experiences. And it's not to get anyone to stray from their beliefs. It's just really I'm about helping people lean into their authenticity, helping them learn truth, gain new information, because sometimes things that can hold us back is a belief system that's old that was never ours. And we carry on those beliefs that really were never our beliefs. They were someone else's. And so I just think it's really important to do that. And I believe that once you do that, then you'll be able to reach your full potential when you're in alignment with your truth and with the true understanding of what Yahweh wanted from his people, and you really are powerful. You know that. So you don't have to worry about, Yahweh already made you worthy. Okay. You don't have to get to get like a tempo recommend to say you're worthy. You already are. I want you to know that. That's so important because so many people are feeling guilt and shame and all of these things because another human that makes mistakes could be, the one telling them this or making them feel this way. And I don't agree. That doesn't align with me. And so I'll continue to share my truth in all things. And if I resonate with you, great. I hope you share it. I hope you follow. And if I don't, then it's okay. We're not in alignment with each other. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. Share this with someone that needs to hear this message, that's feeling shame, feeling unworthy, feeling guilt, and letting them know to do their own, learn new information. I think it's so important to learn new information every single day, and I do that. And I hope you do too. You guys have an incredible day. All right. Love you.